If you're applying for a role as economic sanctions investigator or officer in the banking sector today, we are talking about something super important, the top sanctions interview questions that you need to know. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 10 crucial sanctions interview questions that can make or break your interview. By the end of this video, you will have a solid understanding of what to expect and how to answer these questions to impress your interviewer and hopefully land that dream job. So, let's jump right into today's video. Let's get started with the first sanctions interview question.
What is your experience with economic sanctions compliance?
This is a fundamental question. Your answer should highlight your relevant experience, specific roles, and any direct involvement you had with sanctions compliance. For example, if you already worked in the sector, you can say, in my previous role at X, Y, and Z Bank, I was responsible for monitoring and ensuring compliance with OFAC sanctions regulations. I led a team that conducted regular reviews of our client database against the updated sanctions list. Remember, the interviewer here wants to see that you have hands-on experience and understand the nuances of the regulations. If you're a recent graduate and therefore you don't have a lot of direct experience, focus on your educational background, perhaps an internship that you may have done or any relevant coursework. You could say something like, during my study in international finance, I focused extensively on compliance and sanctions regulations. I completed a capstone project analyzing the impact of OFAC sanctions on international trade, and I also interned at X, Y, and Z Bank, where I assisted the compliance team with sanction screening and regulatory research. This shows that you have a strong foundation and are eager also to apply your knowledge in a professional setting. Let's move into our second sanction interview question.
Can you explain the importance of OFAC regulations in the banking sector?
OFAC, or the Office of Foreign Asset Control, plays a crucial role in maintaining national security by enforcing economic and trade sanctions. And if you're applying for a sanctions role, I'm quite sure you already know this. So, your answer should reflect your understanding of how these regulations prevent illegal financial activities and protect the banking system from being exploited by sanctions entities. So, you may say something like, OFAC regulations are vital as they prevent flow of money to sanctioned individuals and entities, thereby safeguarding the financial system and supporting international security efforts. You can then also expand and go into some of the OFAC programs that are particularly relevant for the job that you're applying for. For example, you could mention the specially designated nations, the SDN list, which includes individuals, companies, also controlled or even acting on behalf of targeted countries. You can say something like, by understanding and enforcing the SDN list, a financial institution can prevent transactions that would contribute otherwise to the activities of sanctioned entities, thereby reducing the risk of being involved in illicit activities. Also, you can highlight specific case studies or recent enforcement actions that demonstrate the importance of OFAC regulations. For example, one notable case is the penalty imposed on such and such bank for violating sanctions against that country. This case underscores the critical need for rigorous compliance programs to detect and prevent violations. This shows that you're not only knowledgeable about the regulations, but also aware about the practical implementation and consequences in the banking sector. Before we continue with our sanctions interview question, if you want to support the work that I do for this community, subscribe now to my channel and press the thumb up so I can create more awesome videos like this one. Thank you.
How do you stay updated on changes to sanctions lists and regulations?
Staying updated is extremely important in economic sanctions. You could mention resources like government website, regulatory updates, and other industry newsletters. An example answer could be, I subscribe to updates from OFAC, the EU, or other relevant bodies. Also, participate in industry webinars and attend compliance training sessions regularly. This shows that you have a proactive approach to staying informed. Or perhaps just say, I follow Marco on FinCrime Agent YouTube channel. No, I'm joking. Don't say that. Just mention internationally recognized institutions such as OFAC, the EU or the UN website, for example. So let's move into sanctions interview question number 4.
Describe a time when you identified a potential sanctions violation. How did you handle it?
Here, the interviewer wants to see your problem-solving skills and your adherence to protocols. Share a specific example to illustrate your approach. For instance, at ABC Bank, while reviewing a series of international transactions, I noticed an unusual pattern where transactions were routed through several different countries before reaching their final destination. This raised a red flag as a potential attempt to obscure the involvement of sanctions entities. Next, explain the step that you took following the identification of the potential violation. Say something like, recognizing the potential severity of this violation, I immediately escalated the issue to our compliance department. We initiated an internal investigation to trace the origin and final destination of the funds, and then we gathered all relevant documentation and transaction record to build a comprehensive case. Highlighting your quick response and adherence to protocol is an important aspect for the hiring manager. Also, I would emphasize any follow-up action that you took to prevent future violation. For example, following our internal protocol, we froze the transactions to prevent further processing and reported the incident to OFAC, providing them with the detailed documentation and evidence. To enhance our compliance program, I worked with the IT and compliance team to update our screening system to better detect similar patterns that are indicative of sanctions evasions. We also conducted additional training sessions for our staff to improve their ability to identify similar type of red flags in the future. This not only shows your problem-solving abilities, but also your commitment to continuous improvement and proactive actions to keep improving the compliance standard of the bank. Halfway there. Question number 5.
What tools and software are you familiar with for sanction screening?
Discuss the specific tools or softwares you have been using in your experience. If you had experience with several sanction screening tools, perhaps you can also provide some feedback about the strengths and weaknesses. For example, if you have been in the industry for a while, say, I worked with a variety of sanction screening tools over my years in this industry. I personally think that such and such tool is particularly efficient because it offers comprehensive and up-to-date sanctions list, intuitive user interface, or robust reporting capabilities. Broadly speaking, each tool has its own strengths, whether it's the depth of the sanctions database, the speed of the screening processes, or the ability for customization and perhaps the reduction of false positive. My positive feedback typically focuses on how well these tools integrate with existing systems and their ability to adapt to evolving regulatory requirements. Let's now continue with question number 6.
How would you handle a false positive in sanction screening?
False positives are very common, and handling them effectively requires a systematic approach. This is often the painful part, unfortunately, of the job. So focus on the positive instead and what you can do to bring them down rather than complaining about how bad this problem actually is. You might say, when I encounter a false positive, I'll start by verifying the data against the relevant sources, such as official sanctions list and internal records, to firstly confirm whether it's indeed a false positive. So there you have it. These sanctions interview questions are highly relevant for anyone really looking to enter the field of sanctions compliance or to progress with your financial crime career into economic sanctions space. By preparing for these questions, you'll be better equipped to demonstrate your knowledge and expertise, making you a strong candidate for that role. If you found this video helpful, press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more insight into regulatory compliance and financial crime. To actively support this amazing community, check out my Patreon link in the video description, or you can show your love with a super thanks directly from this YouTube video. So that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and until next time, see you soon.